Hello everyone, it is Gail from Ticket to Anywhere here with another edition of a Friday Fragment. This is a meme that is hosted by James over at booksheetclub.blogspot.com, and we either read a snippet from one of our favorite books or what we're currently reading, or just from a book in general. My current read is Fury of the Phoenix by Cindy Pon. I started this morning, and it is really, really good so far, but I'm only like 30 or so pages in, so there's nothing there that I really want to read out loud to you yet, because there could be a more fabulous scene later on in the book. So, well, I highly recommend this one, even though I've only read 30 pages. I strongly suggest you go out and buy it when it comes out in stores at the end of March, early April, or somewhere around then. And if you haven't read the one that comes before it, Silver Phoenix, what are you waiting for? Go, go, go get it. So, since I'm not going to be doing my current read, I'm actually going to do the read that I just finished, which is Demonglass by Rachel Hawkins. This is the ugly arc cover. I picked this up at Neba, months ago. And I had meant to read it when I picked it up, but then I started hearing that there was this horrible cliffhanger, and I'm like, oh dear, I don't want to read that. So I held off on reading it up until it was released on March 1st, it's in stores now, and has a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous cover, which you should go molest in stores when you get a chance. And I realized I just couldn't wait anymore. I needed to read this book, and so I did. And now I really wish that I had waited, because it's going to be a year until book 3 is out. A year! And there aren't going to be any arcs that we can get early to figure out what happens. And when you read how this ends, you're going to be like, what? Rachel Hawkins is effing evil, because she is. I've told her this on Twitter, so she knows. And I think she kind of delights in the fact that people think she is evil. You'd think that a nice Southern woman would want to be nice. No. All these Southern authors I've been reading about, they're so mean. But anyway, not mean like personality-wise, mean like writing-wise. I figure I should just clear that up. So anyway, I am going to read a little bit of Demonglass from chapter 1. And it starts off a couple of months after the events of Hex Hall end. And, let's see. But this is non-spoilery if you haven't read like Hex Hall or anything yet. And if you haven't read Hex Hall, then what are you waiting for? Go get Hex Hall, buy Demonglass, and then join the long line of readers who just really, really, really want to know what happens next. Okay, so let's see. I can't say what my first thought was when I sunk below the surface, because it was mostly a string of 4-letter words. The water was way too cold for a pond in Georgia in May, and I could feel the chills sinking all the way into my bones. Plus my chest started burning almost immediately, and I sunk all the way to the bottom, landing in the slimy pond. Okay, Sophie, I thought. Don't panic. Then I glanced over to my right, and through the murky water made out a skull grinning back at me. I panicked. My first impulse was a human one, and I bent my body trying to tear at the ropes across my ankles with my bound hands. I quickly realized this was profoundly stupid, and tried to calm down and concentrate on my powers. Ropes off, I thought, imagining the bindings slithering off me. I could feel them give a little, but not enough. Part of the problem was that my magic came from the ground, or something beneath the ground, a fact I tried not to think about too often. And it was hard to get my feet on the ground while I was trying not to drown. Ropes off, I thought again, stronger this time. The ropes snapped violently, unraveling until they were nothing more than a big ball of floating twine. If I hadn't been holding my breath, I would have sighed. Instead, I untangled myself from what was left of the ropes and made to kick for the surface. I swam about a foot, and then something jerked me back to the bottom. My eyes went to my ankle, half expecting to see a skeletal hand grabbing me. There was nothing. My chest was on fire now, and my eyes were stinging. I pumped with my arms and legs, trying to swim up, but it was like I was being held under the water, even though nothing was holding me. Real panic set in now as black spots danced before my eyes. I had to breathe. I kicked again, but just bobbed in place. Now the black spots were bigger, and pressure on my chest was agonizing. I wondered how long I'd been down here, and if Cal was going to make good on the promise to save me any time soon. I suddenly surged upward, gasping when I broke the surface, the air burning as it rushed into my chest. But I wasn't done yet. I kept flying until I was completely out of the water, landing on the pier in a heap. I winced as my elbow connected painfully with the wood. I knew my skirt was probably hiked up too high on my thighs, but I couldn't bring myself to care. I just took a second to enjoy breathing. Eventually, I stopped gulping air and started to breathe normally again. I sat up and pushed my wet hair out of my eyes. Cal was standing a few feet away. I glared at him. Awesome job with the saving! Then I realized Cal wasn't looking at me, but up toward the head of the pier. I followed his gaze and saw a slender, dark-haired man. He was standing very still, watching me. Suddenly it was hard to breathe all over again. I rose to my feet on shaky legs, tugging my soaking clothes back in place. "Are you all right?" the man called out, his face clearly worried. His voice was more powerful than I would have expected from such a slight man, and he had a soft British accent. "I'm fine," I said, but the black spots were back in front of my eyes, and my knees seemed too wobbly to hold me. The last thing I saw before I fainted was my father walking towards me as I crashed back to the pier. And so that was a little bit from Chapter 1 of Demonglass. Sophie was actually in one of her classes, and it kind of makes, algebra not seem so bad anymore, doesn't it? But anyway, great book. I read it in just a few days. I am in agony because I need to know what happens next. And yeah, hopefully the next year will pass very quickly. And if you haven't read this yet, go buy it, read it. Strongly recommend. And that's it for this week. Let me know what you are reading below in Friday in the comments, because, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. I'll see you next time.